On First at 9 this Thursday, the 1st of May 2025. May Day. International Labour Day commemorated around the country. President reveals new economic plans for Sri Lanka. Opposition continues to critique government over unfulfilled promises. Inflow boost. March 2025 records the highest monthly current account surplus since January 2023, boosted by worker remittances. Plans for exports. ADB and Sri Lanka join to form National Export Development Plan 2025-2029. Unexpected consequences. Sabaragamu University student takes own life. Family and friends allege distress caused by ragging at the university to be the cause of the tragedy.
Cinec Campus Open Day. මේ මාස 3 වෙනි දින උදෑසන 9 සිට Cinec Campus පරිශ්‍රයේදී.
This is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9, brought to you by Sri Lanka's most trusted news source, Derana. I'm Tharindu Mahendra, joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. In your top story this evening, the working community across the globe celebrated International Labour Day today, commemorating the struggles and victories of workers and the labour movement. The origins of May Day can be traced back to the late 19th century, when workers across the world began demanding better working conditions, fair wages and shorter working hours. In his message for May Day, President Anura Dissanayake, while highlighting that this year in Sri Lanka, May Day is being celebrated under a people-oriented governance, marking the end of the corrupt and elitist political system of 76 years, acknowledged that it is the working people of Sri Lanka who continue to shoulder the burden of rebuilding the nation's economy. The 1st of May became associated with the labour movement in the late 19th century after trade unions and socialist groups decided to designate the day in support of the working class. This decision came into effect in memory of Chicago's Haymarket Affair on the 4th of May in 1886, when protests advocating for an 8-hour workday turned violent, resulting in the deaths of 7 police officers and at least 4 civilians. In 1889, the 1st of May was designated as a day in support of workers in commemoration of the Haymarket riot. Since then, May Day, which is also referred to as International Workers' Day, is celebrated across the world, including in Sri Lanka. This year too, several marches and rallies were organised across Sri Lanka in view of May Day. Meanwhile, the traditional floral tributes were paid to the statue of A.E. Gunasinghe, the father of the Sri Lankan labour movement. Floral tributes were also paid to the statue of former Minister T.B. Ilangaratne, who was instrumental in designating May Day a holiday in Sri Lanka. The event was attended by the chairman of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, Nimal Siripala de Silva, and the chairman of the People's Alliance, Anura Priyadarshana. President Anura Dissanayake, in his message for May Day, emphasised that it is the working people of Sri Lanka who continue to shoulder the burden of rebuilding the country's economy in the face of global geopolitical shifts and growing challenges. The head of state underscored that this year May Day is being celebrated at a time when the nation and society are undergoing a transformation under a people-oriented governance, bringing an end to a corrupt and elitist political system that existed for 76 years. President Dissanayake also acknowledged that the need for a revised global declaration of human rights has arisen in light of evolving political frameworks and the worldwide call for peace, and underscored the importance of being sensitive to these needs and dedicated to addressing them. In her message for May Day, Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya noted that government has set up a systematic program to strengthen the economic forces of all working people. The Premier emphasised that this is a time to ensure the security, independence and rights of the people while building a more stable and trustworthy future, and called on the people to work together to safeguard hard-won rights and rebuild the nation. Meanwhile, in his May Day message, opposition leader Sajith Premadasa acknowledged that the working people are the backbone of Sri Lanka's economy and called on all working people to unite under one banner to defend and reclaim their rights, which continue to be undermined by the ongoing economic crisis. The opposition leader went on to say that the rights and responsibilities of the working class must be reassessed from a new perspective in light of current global economic trends, and expressed his belief that it is the duty of the trade union movement to educate and mobilize workers toward this goal. He underscored the need to break free from a mindset rooted in isolated poverty and strive to contribute meaningfully to global economic stability. President Anura Dissanayake stated that the National People's Power, which once inspired the public to reclaim power from the corrupt, is now using that mandate to drive the country's development. He made these remarks during the NPP's May Day rally held today at Galle Face Green. Speaking further, the President called on entrepreneurs and industrialists to invest in Sri Lanka and revealed plans for the future development of the Colombo district.
The first May Day rally organised by the National People's Power since assuming office was held today at Galle Face Green. Representatives of the Chinese Communist Party and the Indian Leftist Party also joined the rally. We are not claiming that all problems were solved through this year's budget. However, there are more budgets to come, one in November for instance. We have already committed to resolving all issues related to pensioners through that budget. I urge you to support the development of our country by uniting as the working class of this nation.
China and Sri Lanka are different countries, but the hands of the Chinese and Sri Lanka are the same. They feed our families, build up our political parties, develop our country, and change our destinies. China's achievements were made possible with support from Sri Lanka and all our neighboring countries. We will never forget our brothers and sisters who stood with us through sunshine and storm. Sri Lanka is China's good neighbor, trusted brother, reliable partner. For 68 years of our diplomatic ties, we have worked hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder, showing the world how countries of different sizes can strive together. Now, with the JVP leading Sri Lanka, new impetus follows into your nation's progress, and new opportunities arise for China-Sri Lanka ties. Earlier this year, President Dissanayake paid a successful state visit to China. President Xi Jinping met with him. Together, the two presidents charted a shared vision for the future of our nations. On the new journey ahead, China will always stand together with Sri Lanka.
We remember in the last May Day, your leadership said that it was the last May Day under that ruling classes, and the next May Day will be under the ruling of the NPP, and you have proven within 6 months. Comrade, the developments in Sri Lanka are an inspiration to the working class movement and the left world over, and especially in the South Asian countries.
ප්‍රගතිශීලී බලාපොරොත්තුවක් තියෙනවා නම් ඒක ලංකාව ගැන තමයි අද ලෝකෙ තුල ඇති වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. වාමාංශික ව්‍යාපාරයක් කරහා ලබා ගන්න පුළුවන් ජයග්‍රහණයක් ගැන අතිශයින්ම සාමකාමී දැවැන්ත ජයග්‍රහණයක් ගැන උදාහරණයක් තියෙනවා නම් ඒ මේ මොහොතේ තියෙන්නේ ලංකාව තුල. මේ දුක තව පරම්පරාවකට බාර දෙන්නේ අපි බාර දෙන්නේ දියුණු රටක් අපි බාර දෙන්නේ සංවර්ධිත රටක් අපි හදන්නේ අපිට වඩා දහස් වාරයක් දක්ෂ දහස් වාරයක් අපිට වඩා ඉදිරියෙන් ඉන්න පරම්පරාවකට අපි මේ රට බාර දෙන්නේ. ඒ රට අපි හදනවා.
අපි දීර්ඝ කාලයක් මේ මේ දිනේ සමරලා තිබෙනවා. ඒ හැම අවස්ථාවකම අපේ අපේක්ෂාව වඩපත් උනේ බලය.
For years, May Day was celebrated with the intention of rallying the public towards seizing political power. Today, for the first time, we celebrate May Day by uniting the public towards the development of the country. In September last year, the public made a bold choice. They reclaimed power by dismantling a generational plan for dictatorship. Now we hear the outcry of those who have lost that power, those who once lived lavishly, wasting public funds and held themselves above the law. They are saddened by their loss, but deep down they know the truth. They know how deeply they were involved in corruption, and they also know who we are. Today there are no longer formidable political forces standing against us, only groups that spread misinformation and baseless criticisms. We have established a government that is free from corruption, where the law is applied equally to all. We promote racial harmony instead of division, and we are committed to achieving economic stability. We invite entrepreneurs and industrialists to invest in Sri Lanka. Tell us where you face challenges and we will address them. We have plans to ensure that no land remain unused in the Colombo district. We are committed to doing everything possible for the development of the country. We only ask that you pay reasonable taxes, and we assure you that public funds will be protected.
සිනෙක් කැම්පස් ඕපන් ඩේ මැයි මස 3 වැනි දින උදෑසන 9 සිට සිනෙක් කැම්පස් පරිශ්‍රයේදී.
While highlighting the unfulfilled promises of the government, leader of the opposition Sajith Premadasa claims that the government has failed to bring their political manifesto, A Thriving Nation, A Beautiful Life, to a reality and has betrayed the trust of the Sri Lankan working community. He made these remarks while addressing the Samagi Jana Balawege's May Day rally in Talawakale. The Samagi Jana Balawege's May Day rally was held today in Talawakale.
සමහරු අහනවා කොළඹ මැයි දිනයක් කරන්න නැතුව මොකද තලවකලයට ආවේ කියලා.
Some individuals ask why did we organize a May Day rally in Talawakale instead of in Colombo. It is because the majority of our working citizens who utilize their labor to bring in dollar revenue live in the upcountry. We organize this May Day rally with the participation of the residents of the upcountry in honor of that, not because we are unable to bring a crowd to Galle Face Green. In 2020, we also brought a sizable crowd to Galle Face Green.
අපිත් පිරෙව්වා ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ ගෝල් පේස් එකේ මේ දිනේ සැමරීම වෙනුවෙන්
They have put up posters in celebration of their May Day rally at Galle Face Green. However, the hammer and sickle and key figures such as Lenin, Karl Marx and their comrade Rohana Vijayveera are missing. We can see that Deputy Minister Namal Karunaratne and Minister K.D. Lalkantha have abandoned their sickles. The government has also thrown away the hammer after beating labourers with false expectations and lies about higher wages. The government, which came to power by promoting the hammer and sickle symbol, made farmers and labourers take to the streets and launch protests to disrupt work in the country. However, they have now taken the side of their masters by neglecting the working people.
අද ඒ ගොවියෝ කම්කරුවෝ අතෑරලා දාලා හාම්පුතුන්ගේ පැත්ත අරගෙන ඉන්නව තමයි අපිට පේන්නේ. අනුරකුමාර දිසානායක මහත්තයා මේ
President Anro Disanayaka gave so many expectations to the people of this country. He gave expectations to estate workers, and by doing so, he became president and secured a 2/3 majority in parliament. He promised to increase the daily wages of estate workers up to 2,000 rupees. He also promised to give lands and houses to estate workers. However, has the government worked to fulfill these expectations? No, they have not. Now there's no one to talk about the estate workers.
වැඩ කරන ජනතාවට අපි කියන්න කැමති ඔබ වෙනුවෙන් අද දවසේ මේ මොහොතේ පමණක් නොවේ.
We will continue to fight for your rights not only at this moment but in the future as well. The incumbent government is ruling the country with lies and deception. They won the presidential and parliamentary elections by spreading lies. At the moment, the promise they made about a thriving nation, a beautiful life has not become a reality for the country's citizens. We would like to ask the President, why would the government continue to tell lies and deceive the people? The government boasts about having educated individuals in power. Yet, I would like to remind you that this government could not even properly provide essential goods such as salt for the citizens. The impending local government elections are decisive for us as well as the country. I will say that the Samagi Jana Balawege will win the elections on the 6th of May, ensuring the victory of the grassroots as well as the whole country.
සමගි ජන බලවේගය ජයග්‍රහණය කරනවා කියන එක ප්‍රකාශ කරමින් ඔබ සියලු දෙනාටම ජය වේවා.
Sri Lanka Podu Jana Peramuna parliamentarian Namal Rajapaksa states that he will be leading the party at the upcoming local government elections with the aim of acquitting former President Mahinda Rajapaksa of all of the government's baseless accusations. Addressing the SLPP's May Day rally, Rajapaksa claimed that accusations against them were made by groups that despised seeing them serve the people.
The May Day rally organised by the Sri Lanka Podu Jana Peramuna was held today at the Ananda Samarakon Open Air Theatre in Nugegoda under the patronage of SLPP MP Namal Rajapaksa. 6 months have gone by and not a single development project has been implemented. I remember during the previous presidential election, every vice person knew that Namal Rajapaksa would be defeated. However, I would like to remind you that we are here today because of the decision Namal made when he was facing defeat. If Namal had not accepted the challenge, our political party would not exist today. Namal Rajapaksa, the eldest son of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, has now become the common enemy and the main challenge for President Anro Disanayaka and the NPP government.
අධිවේගී මාර්ග හදනකොට ඒව හාස්‍යයට ලක් කරා.
The current governing party once mocked our highway projects, claiming we were building roads that would block everyone's paths. They also paved the way for former President Ranil Wickremesinghe to sell the Hambantota harbour to China by ridiculing its construction. When the ruling party could no longer tolerate the development efforts led by former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, they accused him of corruption.
මහින්ද මහත්තයා මේ සංවර්ධනය කරන්නේ හොරකම් කරන්න.
අපි යුද්ධය අවසන් කරමු නිසා තමයි අද අනුරකුමාර අතිගම ජනාධිපතිතුමාට පුදුකුදිරිප්පු වලට ගිහිල්ලා
President President Anura Disanayake goes to Puthukirippu for a public meeting and criticizes former President Mahinda Rajapaksa. The President can only go there because we ended the war. We did not merely end the war, we also constructed the road to get there. There was a group of people who despised seeing us serve the country. If we constructed a road, they would say that we stole money from it. Why did they do that? When they cannot criticize the policies of a government, they would try to ruin their reputation at least. It is true that we didn't answer some accusations, but that was because we believed that we had other matters to focus on instead of mere accusations. I am leading the party at the upcoming local government elections with the aim of acquitting Mahinda Rajapaksa from all baseless accusation within the tenure of President Disanayake's itself. Why is the government always targeting us? I would like to inform the President that we are not scared of you, even though you are scared of us.
අධිකරු ජනාධිපතිතුමනි ඔබතුමා අපිට බය වුණාත් අපි ඔබතුමාට බය නැහැ කියන එකත් මේ වේදිකාවේ ඉඳන් ඔබතුමාට මම මතක් කරනවා.
Leader of the Sarvajana Balaya parliamentarian Dilith Jayavira claims that the traditional concept of the labourer has to be raised through the empowerment of the entrepreneurial mindset. Speaking at the May Day celebration organised by the Sarvajana Balaya, Jayavira further asserted that the rights of the working class cannot be won through traditional May Day rallies. The May Day celebration by the Sarvajana Balaya Alliance commenced this morning at the weekly fair premises in Varakapola under the patronage of party leader parliamentarian Dilith Jayavira and the participation of party members.
For about 50 years, the JVP discouraged and disrupted all previous regimes. The JVP organized demonstrations and strike actions. They criticized the construction of the Sampur power plant, Hambantota port, Norachole power plant, Port City project and the Umaoya hydropower project. When these projects were delayed for 13 years, the cost to complete each project increased. The JVP played a massive role in destroying the country's economy.
JVP දුන්න දායකත්වය ඉතා ප්‍රබලයි. මේ ඔබ පැමිණියේ ඔබ දැනුවත්වම මෙය මැයි පෙළපාලියක් මැයි රැලියකට නෙමෙයි.
This is not a May Day rally. You have come here knowing that. We have repeatedly asserted that the old traditional May Day rallies are not going to win your rights. We have also stated that this country has to be transformed into an entrepreneurial nation, and to complete that, we have to start thinking similarly to the other countries in the world, and certain traditional practices have to be stopped. That is why we stand by the belief that the traditional role of the labourer has to be erased through the empowerment of the entrepreneurial mindset. This is not a competition to see who draws the largest crowd. The NPP is intending to fill up the Galle Face green and chant "Rise Up." There have been 7 agreements that were signed with India that have not been disclosed yet. Now we have the chant "Rise Up" and find out about the undisclosed agreements. The country has to move forward from where it is right now. Instead, the incumbent government is dragging it back. They can show video footage to say that they filled up the Galle Face green. We are entrepreneurs who pay taxes. We engage in politics with the same money we use to pay our taxes. We do not have any local or foreign comrades to buy us belts. They have reserved the May Day to bring labourers to the Galle Face green and perform a media spectacle. We do not approve of that kind of political propaganda. We have presented a definite plan in view of the upcoming local government elections. And according to our theme, Move Forward from Where We Are, we will be establishing Sarvajana committees in every city. We will provide these Sarvajana committees with the necessary capital, guidance and creativity. We will give the people the confidence to stand up on their own feet. Tilvin Silva does not have to chant "Rise Up." Our people are capable of standing up on their own. Through the establishment of Sarvajana committees, we will empower these cities by providing the necessary capital, guidance and creativity. We will make sure that there are no more impoverished people in rural areas and make the proletariat a thing of the past. Today will be the day to mark the end of a deceitful political era. Meanwhile, other political parties and various groups organised commemorative programs and rallies in several parts of the country, including Colombo, in view of May Day. The conference organised by the Sri Lanka Freedom Party for May Day was held today at the party headquarters with the participation of senior members of the party.
Sri Lanka
We are the ones who initiated the May Day in Sri Lanka. It was former Minister T.B. Lankaratne as the then Labour Minister who designed this holiday. Is there not a reason for us to be proud? Every political party in Sri Lanka was victim to a political hurricane. This has resulted in the downfall of many political parties. We must always adhere to the decisions taken by the people of the country through the democratic process.
The May Day parade of the Frontline Socialist Party began at the BRC grounds and its rally was held at the Lalit Athulat Mudiri playground in Kirulapana.
There was a huge commotion in the last few days about the revelation of information about the Batlanda detention centre and to arrest Ranil Wickramasinghe. According to the way things are going now, there is a big doubt if it will ever happen. As we have continuously mentioned, entering into military agreements with India is not a correct decision politically. It is incredibly serious. Such accords unnecessarily involve Sri Lanka in the regional power struggle between nuclear powers. The NPP successfully walked in the path paved by Ranil Wickramasinghe, even better than Ranil.
Several leftist political movements, including the Communist Party of Sri Lanka and the Democratic Left Front, jointly organised a May Day rally at Hyde Park grounds in Colombo. The May Day parade and rally organised by the Lanka Samasamaja Party was held today at the Vihara Mahadevi Open Air Theatre in Colombo. The May Day parade organised by the Joint Trade Union Alliance began this evening from Colombo Fort and reached the PD Sirisena Stadium in Maligawatta. Subsequently, their May Day rally commenced with the participation of representatives from several trade unions. The Ceylon Workers' Congress did not hold a May Day rally or parade this year but performed religious rites at the party headquarters in Kottagala, Hatton. A May Day motorcade organised by the Union of National Taxi App Drivers began from Bauddha Lokamawata and proceeded towards Narahenpita. The 32nd anniversary of the passing of late President Ranasinghe Premadasa was also commemorated today. The ceremony was held in front of the statue of Ranasinghe Premadasa in Hulsdorf under the patronage of his son, opposition leader Sajith Premadasa. President Ranasinghe Premadasa was Sri Lanka's second executive president and is remembered for implementing several major reforms, including rural development initiatives, public education improvements, the food stamp system and the 200 garment factories program. He was assassinated in a suicide bombing carried out by an LTTE terrorist on the 1st of May 1993 at Armour Street in Colombo. Today's commemoration took place near the Hulsdorf Court Complex, where the statue of late President Premadasa stands under the patronage of his son, opposition leader Sajith Premadasa and former First Lady Hema Premadasa. Former Speaker of Parliament Karu Jayasuriya and members of the Samagi Jana Balawegaya also participated in the event. Meanwhile, a Buddhist sermon was held yesterday evening in Colombo to pay tribute to the late president. A tragic incident was reported from Gampola recently, where a student of the University of Sabaragamuwa has committed suicide, reportedly following an incident of ragging at the university. The Minister of Education stated that a board of inquiry has been appointed to probe the incident. A 23-year-old youth had recently taken his own life, reportedly following an incident of ragging at the University of Sabaragamuwa. The deceased was a second-year student of the university's Department of Engineering Technology. The victim had attended a New Year festival at the university on April 27th and returned home to Ihalagama Gampola on April 28th. It is reported that the 23-year-old had taken his own life the next day, April 29th, while leaving a final note behind. The victim's family alleged that the student had faced a brutal incident of ragging during the university's New Year festival, which had led to his suicide. A friend of the deceased corroborated to other Derana the information revealed by the family. The father of the deceased has already filed a complaint with the Pusallava police and an investigation is underway into the incident. Meanwhile, issuing a statement, the Ministry of Education, Higher Education and Vocational Education says that a board of inquiry has been appointed to probe the incident and added that the university's management and the University Grants Commission would take necessary steps once the report of the board is released. And with that, here's a look at more local news across the island in brief. Two high-ranking police officers have warned suspended IGP Deshabandhu Tennakon of a threat against his life from underworld leader Kanjipani Imran. It has been reported that Kanjipani Imran, who is currently in hiding overseas, has instructed his associates to assassinate Tennakon. It is also reported that the police headquarters has received an intelligence report regarding threats against Deshabandhu Tennakon following the withdrawal of his security after his suspension from duties. The intelligence reportedly details threats against Tennakon's life from underworld figures over his efforts to suppress underworld activities through initiatives such as the Yukti operation. Meanwhile, the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption has taken a revenue inspector of the Akmimana Pradesh Sabha into custody for allegedly soliciting a bribe. According to the complaint, the suspect had solicited a bribe of 25,000 rupees in exchange for issuing a business license for this year for a hotel managed by the complainant in Unawatuna Galle. Following the complaint, Bribery Commission officials arrested the suspect yesterday in a room of the hotel belonging to the complainant. The suspect is scheduled to be produced before the Galle Magistrates Court. In other local news, Chairman of the Lanka Private Bus Owners Association, Gamunu Vijayaratne, says bus fares will not be revised despite yesterday's downward revision of diesel prices. He further stated that although there is no possibility of reducing fares at the moment, a revision can be made during the annual bus fare revision in July. Welcome back. You're once again joining First at 9 on Other Derana 24. Now, Sri Lanka's external sector continued to strengthen in March 2025, recording the highest monthly current account surplus since January 2023. The gains were primarily driven by increased inflows from worker remittances. According to the latest report by the central bank, earnings from merchandise exports rose by 8.1% year-on-year, reaching $1.242 billion in March 2025. Meanwhile, expenditure on merchandise imports increased by 8.6% year-on-year, amounting to $1.637 billion. Tourism earnings improved significantly with an estimated income of $354 million in March. Worker remittances made the largest contribution to the current account surplus, with inflows totaling $693 million, marking the highest level of remittances ever recorded in the month of March in any year to date. Gross official reserves rose to $6.5 billion by the end of March 2025. This figure includes the $344 million fourth tranche received under the IMF Extended Fund Facility Program and purchases of $402 million from the local market. Meanwhile, the current account surplus stood at $459.5 million, an increase of 76.8% compared to the same period last year. Year-to-date depreciation of the Sri Lankan rupee against the US dollar was 2.3% at end April 2025. A team from the Asian Development Bank has visited the Sri Lanka Export Development Board to initiate discussions on the formulation of the National Export Development Plan for 2025 through 2029 in line with an initiative announced in the 2025 budget. The meeting took place on the 25th of April. Key topics discussed during the meeting included strategies for formulating the National Export Development Plan and the critical need for export diversification. ADB officials emphasized the necessity of setting ambitious target for the Export Development Board, including a goal of achieving $36 billion in export revenue by 2030. The meeting also recognized potential challenges in implementation and the key factors for the plan's success. The National Export Development Plan aims to adopt a more targeted and data-driven approach to export development, focused on refinement and expansion by embracing technological innovations and strengthening regulatory frameworks. And that's all from tonight. From First at 9, thank you for joining. Have a great night.